May 1999. Hong Kong police officers responded to a call, a missing persons case. Routine, they thought. It turned out to be anything but. Their investigation led them to a dingy apartment building in the bustling Tsim Sha Tsui district. There, on the third floor, they walked into a scene straight out of a nightmare. The air was thick with the stench of decay. The small apartment, decorated with posters of the popular Japanese character Hello Kitty, was littered with the remnants of unspeakable acts. But the true horror was revealed when officers discovered a Hello Kitty mermaid doll. It wasn't the doll itself that shocked them, but what it contained: a human skull. The discovery sent shockwaves through Hong Kong. This wasn't just a murder, it was a depraved and calculated act of brutality. The case, quickly dubbed the Hello Kitty murder, would become one of the most infamous and chilling chapters in the city's history. The media was captivated, and the public was both horrified and morbidly fascinated. Who could commit such a gruesome act, and why? The investigation would unearth a twisted tale of kidnapping, torture, and murder, exposing the dark underbelly of Hong Kong's nightlife and the brutal capabilities of those who operated within it. The Hello Kitty murder wasn't just a crime. It was a stark reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of even the most vibrant and modern cities. At the heart of this horrific case was a 23-year-old woman named Fan Man-Yee. Life had been unkind to Fan. Abandoned by her parents as a child, she grew up in a girls' home, yearning for a family and a sense of belonging. By her early 20s, she had fallen into Hong Kong's seedy underbelly, working as a nightclub hostess to make ends meet. Fan's path crossed with a man named Chan Man-Lok, a small-time gangster involved in drug dealing and prostitution. Chan would become her tormentor, the orchestrator of the heinous crimes that would end her life. In March 1999, Fan allegedly stole a wallet containing 4,000 Hong Kong dollars from Chan. This petty theft would seal her fate. Chan, fueled by rage and a desire for revenge, kidnapped Fan and took her to a dilapidated apartment in Tsim Sha Tsui. He was joined by 3 accomplices, Long Xingqiu, Leung Wai-lun, and a 14-year-old girl known only as Ah Fong. For the next month, Fan was subjected to unimaginable cruelty. The details, too graphic to recount here, are a testament to the darkest depths of human depravity. On April 14, 1999, Fan Man-Yee drew her last breath inside that Hello Kitty-themed apartment, her body broken and her spirit extinguished. The cause of death was never definitively determined, but it was believed to be a result of the prolonged torture and possible drug overdose. Her death, however, was only the beginning of the horror. The apartment at 31 Granville Road became a macabre tableau. It was a place where childhood innocence, represented by the ubiquitous Hello Kitty paraphernalia, collided with unspeakable evil. The walls, once adorned with cheerful cartoon characters, were splattered with blood and bore silent witness to Fan's month-long ordeal. The 4 perpetrators, their humanity seemingly extinguished by a potent cocktail of drugs, rage, and depravity, embarked on a chilling task. They set about disposing of Fan's body in a manner so gruesome that it would shock even the most hardened police officers. Fan's remains were dismembered, boiled, and partially disposed of in garbage bags. Her skull, however, was deemed too difficult to dispose of. It was then that the perpetrators decided to conceal it inside a large Hello Kitty mermaid doll, sewing it shut and placing it among the other toys scattered around the apartment. This grotesque act, perhaps intended to further dehumanize Fan in death, would become the defining symbol of the case. The apartment, with its jarring juxtaposition of childhood whimsy and unimaginable horror, became a grim testament to the depths of human cruelty and the lengths some will go to conceal their crimes. It was a scene that would forever be seared into the minds of those who had the misfortune of witnessing it. Chan Man-Lok, the ringleader of this depraved group, was a study in contradictions. A self-proclaimed ladies' man, he exuded a superficial charm that masked a dark and volatile nature. Chan had a history of violence, and was known to use intimidation and coercion to get what he wanted. His world revolved around drugs, money, and exploiting vulnerable women like Fan Man-Yee. Leung Xingqiu and Leung Wai-lun, Chan's accomplices, were drawn into his orbit, seduced by the allure of easy money and the false sense of power that came with being part of Chan's inner circle. They were willing participants in the torture, their consciences seemingly numbed by the drugs and the escalating violence. Then there was Ah Fong, the 14-year-old girl whose presence in that apartment added another layer of complexity to the already horrific case. Ah Fong was Chan's girlfriend, a vulnerable teenager trapped in a relationship with a much older and controlling man. While it remains unclear to what extent Ah Fong participated in the torture, her presence in the apartment throughout the ordeal and her subsequent testimony would prove crucial in securing the convictions of the three men. Her story serves as a reminder of the devastating impact of exploitation and the complex roles that young people can play in such horrific crimes. Section 5. A web of deceit and testimony. As the investigation progressed, a web of deceit and manipulation began to unravel. Chan Man-Lok, in an attempt to deflect blame, initially denied any involvement in Fan's disappearance. He claimed that she had left the apartment of her own volition after a night of drug use. However, the police were closing in, and Chan's story was beginning to crumble. The turning point came when Ah Fong, plagued by guilt and fear of Chan, decided to cooperate with the police. Her testimony, while difficult to hear, provided a chilling account of the events leading up to Fan's death, and the subsequent attempts to dispose of her body. She described the torture, the fear in Fan's eyes, and the cold, calculated manner in which the three men had carried out their gruesome task. Armed with Ah Fong's testimony and the gruesome evidence found at the apartment, the police were able to charge Chan Man-Lok, Leung Shing-cho, and Leung Wai-lun with manslaughter. The charge of murder was not pursued due to the inability to determine the exact cause of Fan's death. The trial, which began in October 2000, captivated Hong Kong and brought the full horror of the Hello Kitty murder into sharp focus. The prosecution presented a compelling case, detailing the brutality of the crime and the callous disregard for human life displayed by the three defendants. The courtroom was a crucible, where the brutality of the crime clashed with the sterile language of the law. The jury, tasked with weighing the evidence and delivering a verdict, faced the unenviable task of reconciling the horrors they had heard with the principles of justice. After weeks of testimony, deliberation, and emotional arguments from both sides, the verdict was delivered. Chan Man-Lok, Leung Shing-cho, and Leung Wai-lun were found guilty of manslaughter. The judge, condemning the men for their cruelty and depravity, sentenced them to life imprisonment. Justice, it seemed, had been served, but it was a bittersweet victory. Fan Man-Yee's life had been brutally cut short, and no amount of legal retribution could bring her back. The case exposed the limitations of the legal system in addressing such horrific crimes. While the life sentences provided some solace, the fact that the men were not convicted of murder left many feeling that justice had been only partially served. The absence of a murder conviction, a consequence of the difficulty in establishing the exact cause of death, highlighted the challenges faced by prosecutors in cases where the victims are subjected to prolonged torture and abuse. In the years that followed the trial, the story of the Hello Kitty murder continued to cast a long shadow over Hong Kong. The apartment building where the crime took place remained a grim reminder of the horrors that had unfolded within its walls. It was eventually demolished, but the memory of what transpired there lingered on. Ah Fong, the young woman whose testimony had been instrumental in securing the convictions, disappeared from public view. Her life, forever marked by the events of that fateful month, became a footnote in the larger narrative of the case. What became of her, and the psychological scars she undoubtedly carried, remained a mystery. As for the three men convicted of manslaughter, their lives continued within the confines of the prison system. Leung Shing-cho, however, would eventually taste freedom again. In 2011, after serving 18 years of his life sentence, he was released on parole. His release was met with mixed reactions, with some arguing that he had served his time while others expressed outrage that he was being given a second chance. Leung Shing-cho's release proved to be short-lived. In 2021, he was arrested and charged with indecently assaulting a 10-year-old girl. The news sent shockwaves through Hong Kong, reawakening the horrors of the Hello Kitty murder. It seemed that the man, once convicted of participating in one of the city's most notorious crimes, had not truly escaped his past. In August 2022, Leung Shing-cho was found guilty of the assault charges and sentenced to 12 months in jail. The case, while unrelated to the Hello Kitty murder, served as a stark reminder that some individuals, despite serving their time, remain a danger to society. It reignited the debate about the effectiveness of rehabilitation programs within the prison system and the challenges of reintegrating convicted criminals back into society. The Hello Kitty murder, it seemed, was a story that refused to fade into the past. It continued to resurface, casting a long shadow over those involved and serving as a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of even the most modern and seemingly safe cities. The Hello Kitty murder has left an indelible mark on Hong Kong's collective psyche. It is a case that continues to fascinate and horrify, generating countless articles, books, and documentaries that attempt to unravel the complex motivations behind such unimaginable cruelty. The case has become a cautionary tale, a reminder of the fragility of life and the darkness that can reside within the human heart. The image of the Hello Kitty mermaid doll, once a symbol of childhood innocence, has been forever tainted by its association with the case. It serves as a chilling reminder of the perversion of innocence and the power of objects to become imbued with the darkness of the events they witness. Despite the passage of time, the Hello Kitty murder continues to hold a strange allure. It is a case that speaks to our primal fears, forcing us to confront the uncomfortable reality that monsters do exist, not in the shadows, but often disguised as ordinary people, leading seemingly ordinary lives. And sometimes, the most horrific acts of violence are committed, not in the pursuit of some grand objective, but for the most banal and senseless of reasons.